Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause. We have once again made it through the work week. It is Friday, and before I send you off into that glorious weekend, apologies to the weekend workers, a couple wee things. First off, a wee shout out to Div, who is getting married today. I don't know if many of you remember him from the channel and everything like that, but a wee shout out to him. Your boy's gone. He's not the best man though, so it's a touchy subject, shouldn't have brought it up. And secondly, we have a lot to go ahead and talk about that we're going to try and reflect. We've got transfers, we've got bids, we have got kits. So it's a spicy one. And spicy is the perfect word for what we're going to start this week's Rangers Roundup with. Because I'm not going to tease you, we're not going to talk all the way around it. We're diving right into the biggest news, the hottest news over the last 24 to 48 hours that's been dominating every single Rangers fan's thoughts and feelings. And that's this Igamane situation. And again, you might not be familiar with it, you might be a little bit familiar with it, you maybe didn't live chronically online and didn't want to sieve through the absolute garbage that's there every single day, fired by journalists just trying to make some money based on speculation and guesswork, and you didn't want to get invested in that. Well, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, that is why I'm here, and that is why I'm going to try and tell you the exact timeline of this Igamane situation. Where we go for here. And I think the best place to start is the start, unless it's a Quentin Tarantino film, but we're not directing, we're telling a story, and that story starts on Wednesday night when a semi-reliable, semi-credible source fired out on Wednesday that Lille was interested in our boy Igamane. And again, I'm saying semi-reliable and semi-credible because it is a well-respected one, you know what I mean? He's not one of the ends that just fire out absolute dross, and we all know the line. He is at least one that people pay attention to. It's hard to get 100%, you know what I mean? Nobody that breaks transfers, nobody does, even like say Fab aren't 100 for 100 because it is very hard. It's a very hard game to break into, as the goalposts can move, agents can get clever, transfer targets can change, injuries can happen. It's a weird hard game, but again, it is at least one that is on the upper tier of that, and usually what he talks about is at least based in some truth. And he kicked a wee hornet's nest on Wednesday night as he tweeted out that Igamane and Lille had came to personal agreements and agreed terms, and it was all about the clubs coming ahead and getting an agreement in place. Can I just hit a wee pause right there, by the way? Is that not tapping up? Like, I'm not joking right here. If the club goes right to the player and agrees a deal before even speaking to the club that owns that player, isn't that a breach in the transfer rule? I don't know. Maybe I'm just maybe it's all changed, but it doesn't feel right. Anyway, potential transfer breach to one side. That is what he said on Wednesday, and then he followed that up about 12 hours later with a wee timescale emoji and a couple other wee emojis pretty much saying it's looking very, very good, which set probably half a Rangers Twitter on fire as it looked like it was done. You know what I mean? That's what people interpreted that little emoji, those little combination of emojis. I was time to wave goodbye to our Moroccan prince. Me, personally, what I was thinking is, how about you use your words instead of using emojis like you're a 13-year-old on MSN, man? Give us what's actually happening. Anyway, I'll let it go right now because what soon followed was speculation of him leaving or what was going on. Then there was rumours and reports of our bid being received by Rangers. I know Hartenham said I think they rejected a bid. There's other sources claiming that the bid is getting formally approached and getting ready to get fired in. Now, if this is the first or second one, who actually knows? There's just so much speculation, there's so much rumours, there's so much stuff that I just want to pull holt on it and just draw a line and talk about what's actually happening, because there's people already saying goodbye to Igamane like it's all done and dusted. But remember the team that you're dealing with, and remember the situation we find ourselves in, because it is so damn familiar, because we are sitting here talking about Lille being interested in our star striker at our football club, our most promising striker if you want. Hello, 5 years ago, it's me for the future, because we've already been here. They've tried this with Alfredo Morelos and it never worked out. We ended up rejecting their bid and then they moved on elsewhere, which is very, very ironic because you look at this entire situation over a 5-year period. Lille tried to sign our most promising striker 5 years ago. Didn't get him. Went on to sign Jonathan David, who to be fair was absolutely outstanding. But now Jonathan David has rejected numerous contract offers and is leaving the football club after running his contract down after 5 years. So the guy that they signed because they couldn't get Alfredo Morelos has now left them on a free, and now Leo's jumped back to Rangers, be like, right, we'll take your most promising striker again. And this entire situation, by the way, reminds me of one of my most favourite stories about Gaza, and it's told brilliantly by Gary Lineker about their time at Spurs when they were training. There used to be hussies and that earlier. One time the ball went earlier, error was, so Gaza jumped there into the gear to get the ball, and the players are waiting for him to come back. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, he doesn't come back. In fact, it's an exact 24 hours on the dot as the very next day Gaza, at the same time he jumped there the wall, jumps back here the next day with the ball under his arm, deadpans it, and doesn't make any reference that he'd been gone for an entire day, because that's pretty much what Lille's done, you know what I mean? Bid for our most promising striker, disappear for 5 years, spawn back and be like, aye, where were we? And all joking and that aside, because again I always try and find a way to tell that story because it is genuinely one of my favourites. It is interesting, but again the point is there is nothing officially done just yet in terms of bids accepted or anything acknowledged by the football club. So that's the route that we have to need to go with. Right now, everyone that's freaking out and panicking saying, I can't believe we're selling Igamane for this. What are we actually doing? The reports and numbers you're seeing are just speculation. And guess what? So I didn't feel like it's worth getting worked up with right now. If the rumour is right that Rangers did reject a 17 million euros and they want a wee bit more, they want add-ons and sell-on fees, etc., etc., then brilliant. Fit the football club. That takes some absolute titanium-sized stones to reject that, because I'll tell you something right now, and it might not be popular. If that offer was received and they accepted it, I'd be completely fine with it, ladies and gentlemen, because you're talking about a player, right? Let's just cut through it. He's a 22-year-old that wasn't a nailed-on starter every week, that got garbage minutes, that was played out of position in his first season of football, especially in Europe at this type of level, and you're making possibly what, like 14, 15 times what you actually brought him in for the football club. And again, I know the reports vary on what he's actually signed for, whether it was 700k or up to 2 million, but for me, I think it's closer to 700, but for argument's sake, let's say it's a million. Again, you could be possibly making 14 times the amount on what you signed a year ago for a player that, again, isn't always directly involved in the starting 11. That'd be sensational business. And if Rangers are in a position that they feel like they can reject that and hold off for a price that meets their evaluation of the player, in terms of what comes in the new, but also sell-on fees, protecting the value going down the line if Igamane becomes the player a lot of us expect him to be, it's all just professional business, in my personal opinion. And again, it is a new era, it is this, so there's no leaks breaking down every aspect of the deal, so we are getting wee kind of echoes everything. But again, if you track it back to the source, the guy's confident they will eventually end up at Lille, and if that is going to be the case, then it must be a pretty penny that's gone ahead and getting him. But I do find myself wondering, despite me thinking it would be a very good deal, anything over 15 million for Igamane with a sell-on, I think it's a great deal in my opinion. I say that as a big Igamane fan. I do think, however, imagine we were run like a proper functioning football club last season. Imagine we had the professionals we've got in the building now here last season. Instead of wasting our most promising striker for nearly the entire year, but at least 6 months, garbage minutes, sub minutes, playing him out of position for a 30-year-old journeyman that's not going to make this club any money, you know what I mean? Imagine we were actually done properly and somebody had leaned over and whispered into Barry's ear and said, Barry, you're not getting the job, by the way, so go and actually build on the sellable assets and protect the future of this football club. Imagine if we had played him for 6 months, what his value could possibly be. And that, for me, is the interesting thing, in my personal opinion, because that's, to me, what draws me back. Because if we sell Igamane, which I do believe we will sell him eventually this summer, it's going to be for some good money, and I'm not going to complain at all. But I feel like we could be making even more. So if he doesn't leave this summer, if a club bids for Igamane and it isn't to the valuation, I'm not going to sit and greet about that either, because this is a kid with so much potential that if he gets the game time, which I believe he will get under Martin, because he does suit Martin's style a hell of a lot more, being able to bring in his wee skill and his touches, he could be a great player for Rangers under Russell Martin. He's going to be worth even more next summer. So it's not a sell, but sell at the right price. If it's no, then you're requiring more next summer. And again, that's a very, very strong financial position to be in, and that's what I take away for this one. And even going in to the second story, that's what I look at right now, because we're not accepting scraps anymore. Remember the way we were handling our transfer business not too long ago? Here's 12 pence for Cantwell, here's 14 pence for Sam Lammers. Remember how embarrassing we were run as a football club. I know we love this club, but look at what we've done with some of the players we chucked out the back door and the horrific deals. Because why? We had to accept money and take this and try and do this and try and spin this plate here and then do this. None of that is there. We're coming from a position of strength of the partner because we have money. The people in and around the building know that, and we are in that type of environment, and it is completely different than what has been pre-takeover to post-takeover, and I think clubs are going to need to go ahead and adjust to that. And what I think we'll almost see maybe a resurrection of our transfer value in terms of our sellable assets, and I think that might start with Igamane. You want your players, play the valuation. We're not exactly a team that is requiring the money, needing this and blooding this anymore. All that's getting fixed, all that's getting patched. You want your players, pay the rate that is these days. And I like that the club's moving in that direction, and it's a bold start with Igamane. The only thing I do want to say, by the way, because again I'm expecting Igamane to leave at some point this summer when the fee is received at the level, whether it is for Lille or somebody else or anything like that, can we just give at least a wee bouquet of flowers to Coppin? You know what I mean? Because that guy's been getting absolutely crucified online and slaughtered here, there and everywhere for being absolutely barking at his job, but that's a Coppin signing. You know what I mean? The money that we made, potentially 15, 16, 17 times what we brought him in, that's for Coppin's recommendation. That's somebody he's identified. And if you look at where we are right now, the transfer market, with everybody frustrated and foaming at the mouth, that it's championship players and English players on a board with that, Coppin was willing to dip into these markets and he brought in sellable assets. Not only Igamane, whether he leaves this summer or he stays and builds on that value, but you've got Dio, you got Jefty, and even the big Israeli striker that a lot of people are wanting to be brought in to the football club, especially if Igamane and Dessers does leave this summer. Again, that was somebody that Coppin's been tracking for 6 to 8 months and keeping an eye on. So I find like that was worth mentioning as well. Again, I'm not saying he was the perfect guy or anything like that, but sometimes you just got to give the flowers to the person that brought the money in, and that's brilliant. And for me, if Igamane is sold or it gets kept on, whatever money we eventually received, hopefully it just keeps that interest on unearthing these types of gems, that it doesn't always need to be down the road signings for England. There is talent, there is value, there is gems and money to be made out there, so keep the scouts going out there and keep identifying and trying to steal players for these markets, bring them in here and then flip them on. So this could be a potentially very, very, very important sell in many different aspects, and again the value is still there, and hopefully it underlines that of expanding the market and not being narrow focused in what we're bringing in. And that's me sort of done and dusted. I know some people want me to dive into the rumours and this and this and this, but there's nothing really there apart from speculation and guesswork, so I'm just leaving it there. If Igamane stays, I'll be delighted because I think he fits Russell Martin's style, I think he's a good player and his value's only going to get better. But if we sell him at that money and reinvest what is technically a player that wasn't a part of the starting 11 and use the funds he would bring into the club to improve 2, maybe even 3 positions in your starting 11, then again it would be tremendous business. And that's what football is, ladies and gentlemen. It's got to be a business. This way you didn't run the good players into the gruns, out of their knees and out of their contracts. It's picking the right time when the right fee comes in, as long as you can reinvest that into your team. And I think you're seeing a very strong stance for Rangers. We've got a Champions League qualifier coming in a month. You either pay up or you shut up, and I like that. Story number 2 is a different one. That's right, it is CD9 time, baby, and it's time we talk about these grease links and all that malarkey. And honestly, I'm just going to cut through the BS, right? I know everyone wants to talk about Greece, they want the updates on Athens, they want all the inside scoops, and what I find so damn interesting is we spent so much time today's video talking about story number 1 and telling you an exact timeline that you can trace all the way to the source, which again is credible. Can you do that with Dessers? Nah, ladies and gentlemen, because these sources are absolutely all over the place. You know what I mean? It's been reported that Cyril Dessers has signed for AFK Athens 12 times in the last 15 days. How many Cyril Dessers are they going ahead and signing? You know what I mean? The tweet comes out, he's signing the day. After 24 hours, the delete's gone. It's back today, it's back. And they're just feeding in the interactions every single day. It's more and more guesswork, and that's why I've avoided that. That's why I've not really wanted to talk about it, but it is almost the only time that I can speak about it right here, when it pairs and mirrors so perfectly with story number 1. Because again, let's say Dessers does go, let's say these accounts on AFK Athens are eventually right, because even a broken clock is right twice a day, and Dessers finally leaves this football club and does go to AFK Athens at some point this summer. That will leave us with a massive gap in our team, because like him or loathe him, and you know my history, you know my story with Cyril Dessers, you know what I mean? I've loved him, I've defended him, I've adored him, I've hated him, I've never wanted to see him again. And that's usually on the exact same half, right? The story's been told with CD number 9, but like him or loathe him, again, there's goals in him, and he scored a hell of a lot. Igamane, when he played, scored a lot of goals. Cherny, when he was here, scored a lot of goals. That's 60 plus goals gone for your team. And if the gaps are there, and if we are accepting bids and the players are getting moved on, we better have these replacements ready to rock and roll like that. And that for me is the single most interesting part regarding all these stories. The will they, it doesn't matter to me. It's if they go, how quickly are we getting somebody in? And that's the true test of the new era and the new people brought in to this football club, because for so many years we had that apple in front of us, that carrot dangled in terms of Champions League football, and every single year we limped in, no having our signings in place, selling a player right here and playing people out of position. Very rarely did we ever have a start 11 we were actually happy with, when one of the biggest games that can shape an entire season is right upon the horizon. But we've got the chance to sort that and fix that right frickin' now, and ease a lot of fans, because there is so much tension and everyone's screaming, we've no signed this, we've no sold this, we've no done any of this. It is still so early on, and if you had the club coming out and confirming, we're selling Dowell, we're selling Dessers, we're selling this guy, we're selling this guy, do you know what that does? Brings their value all the way down, and you can only ever sell players that teams are bidding for. So that's why you'll see them featured there. That's when you'll see them part of this, and you'll see them a part of that, because it's protecting the value, or at least trying to salvage any type of value. And again, you can only sell players people bid for, and if there's a bid for Dessers, if it exists, it's never once been acknowledged by the club, confirmed or denied. You know what I mean? The Greek accounts are tweeting, the bid's been accepted, the bid's been rejected, there's 1 million between it, the bid's now been confirmed. Dessers has signed a contract, Dessers hasn't signed a contract, he's not willing to take a price. Every single day it's another story air in Greece, and there is that stench of this is going to be another transfer saga, just like January. Remember he was going to Turkey in January? Remember last summer when he was going to Cyprus? You know what I mean? This could be another situation, but again, if he does go, the true test is going to be getting these fans back on site and getting them in with new players, because I didn't want it to drag out. You know what I mean? What I didn't want to happen this summer is to have the Igamane and obviously Dessers situation drag out weeks and weeks and weeks worth, and then it comes about 10 days to the Champions League qualifier, maybe even a week to the Champions League qualifier, and then we sell them, and then we limp into that game like, oh well, we've signed 2 players but they're not trained enough, they're not fully fit and ready to go now, we can't afford that. And that is what I'm preaching right now, and that is what I'm interested in doing. If the players are gone, let's make the decision when they come back on Monday for international duty, because both Igamane and Dessers isn't there and isn't due to turn up till Monday. But if they're gone, let's get these negotiations done and dusted, and let's get the replacements in, trained and ready to rock and roll. We can't limp into another Champions League game. It is a new era. There is new people there. Let's go ahead and prove it and actually look like a functioning football team. But moving on to the third and final part of today's video, right? And don't worry, I'm going to keep this one a hell of a lot shorter, because I actually have to start getting ready for the wedding now, if I'm honest. And it's Friday, but it's tradition. I can't no day it, ladies and gentlemen. Every Rangers roundup, we went ahead and looked at the third kit, away kits, blah blah blah, whenever there is a roundup. And for me, I was surprised when I seen this kit, because when I was expecting something else, and then I seen it, I went, wow, that's different. Then I zoomed in, then I looked at it, and then it grew on me. So to finish off today's video, if you are still watching, all I'm asking for you is just a wee score. Ladies and gentlemen, we do it every year, we do it for every kit. What are you rating this third kit for Rangers? Very different, I know, but I kind of really like it, and I'm giving it a cheeky 7.6 out of 10. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going with. What about you? Let me know your opinions down there in the old comment section below. And I know this roundup might be a wee bit all over the place, but I wanted to talk about credible stuff in Igamane. I wanted to address some of the stuff you want me to talk about, Dessers, but more importantly, what we need to do as a team and what I want to see for the people in the background and have a wee fun with the kit. Now I send you off to your weekends to enjoy the rest of it. And as always, I've been Sieging992. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to the channel memberships as well. I greatly appreciate the yins that signed up to the supporters level. And again, thanks to each and every single person that keeps the lights on by watching these videos, by hitting that like button, and even subscribing, as we're now at 66,600. That's 666. I didn't need that omen going in to the season, so can we maybe try and get above that? Let's just get 667 and build our way up. Let's not go underneath it, you know what I mean? Let's not everybody mass and scribe, you know what I mean? The lights would go off, but let's keep it and let's try and build on beyond that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you all so much for taking time out your day. Go ahead and enjoy your weekend. If any more news does drop, we'll talk about it right here on the channel. Until then, let's just sieve through most of the crap and ignore the clickbait journalists that are making their summertime wages based on speculation and guesswork. But I'll see yous in the next video. All the best and bye.